got out the computer. You know, it's a fancy day when I've got the computer out. I'm trying to take y'all back to first year of law school with this because it's been a while. So lost property is when something is found in a place where the true owner likely did not mean to put it and where it is not likely to be found by the true owner. So at common law, this is before there were statutes and before states came up with their laws, the finder of a lost item could claim the right to possess the item against any person except the true owner or any previous owners.
So like if I drop a cell phone in a lake or something.
Yeah, you remember, I mean, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, possession is 9/10 of the law. No. You've never heard that phrase? Possession is 9/10 of the law? Hold on. Can you come here? Really important. When there's lost property and you then have it, it is yours except if the true owner, the actual real owner, comes and says, hey, that's mine. But then they have to prove it's theirs too. So if it's a phone with their face, okay, it's theirs. Let's use a basketball, for example. You're at the beach and there's a basketball that is floating in the water. And you look around, there's not a basketball court in miles. Let's do this. Let's use a volleyball. Where else can we put a volleyball? Let's say you're walking through the woods and you see a volleyball. Maybe you've seen this volleyball before. Maybe it looks oddly familiar. Maybe its name is Wilson. Well done! So you see a volleyball that's put on a stake and the stake's in the ground. You're looking around. There's no volleyball courts around. That volleyball was put down. Well, see. If it's on a stake, then the owner intended to be there. So if a volleyball is just on the ground in the middle of the woods and you look around and there's not a volleyball court in sight, not even a place you would throw or kick or spike or set, whatever else you do with a volleyball, that's probably gonna be lost property because it's found in a place where the true owner did not seemingly mean to set it down, and it's probably not likely to be found.
So with that situation in Castaway, could he claim ownership of that volleyball?
Yeah, that volleyball is totally his. Well, oh hey, really important. So have you ever heard the phrase, possession is 9/10 of the law?
No. What does that mean?
Well, let me take you back to common law in the 1600s. We're talking about lost property, and possession is 9/10 of the law. Meaning that if you find something that's lost and then you take it, it's yours and you have 9/10 of ownership of it. Not exactly, but you have most of the ownership until the real owner comes and says, hey, that's mine. And you go, prove it. And they're like, yeah, it says Johnson under there. And you're like, shit. And then they're the 1/10, now it's theirs.
1/10 trumps the 9.
It's not like a math problem, it's about sticks in a bundle. So the classic example is that you have a bunch of sticks and each one is a right of property. So like when I make these videos, for example, people have the right to watch them because we put them on YouTube, put them on TikTok, whatever. People have a right to screenshot them. They can do that too. People have a right to show them to their friends. They have rights with my property because this is my property. They don't have a right though to start a Mike Rafey channel like motherfuckers do on TikTok. You report them. You're the person who goes and reports them, but they don't have that right? They still try to do it. So you have 9 of the 10 sticks, not an accurate number, but you have 9/10 of the stick, and the one stick that you don't have is true ownership. And when the true owner comes, their one stick is bigger than your stick. We shouldn't talk about size of sticks. It's got weird.
Math is not mathing.
Yeah, the math doesn't, but the math isn't a math problem. It's not supposed to math. It's not 9/10 versus 1/10, but yeah, okay. I thought that was common knowledge. Possession's 9/10 the law. All right, so then there's mislaid property. That is your classic. I was at a restaurant and I left my wallet behind. Mislaid property is found in a place where the true owner did intend to put it, but then they didn't intend to leave it. So I put my wallet on the table. I just forgot to pick it back up when I was leaving. Now I'm giving common law here, which is the general law that all of our laws arose out of, and then states have gotten more specific and federal government has gotten more specific. Under common law, the person who finds the wallet, the misplaced object, should turn it over to the owner of wherever they are, the restaurant, the bar, whatever, and say, hey, I think somebody left this behind, because you have a reasonable expectation that the actual owner is going to come back and say, hey, I left my wallet here, or call up, I left my wallet here, do you guys have it? Then there is abandoned property. Abandoned property is found in a place where the true owner intended to leave it, but you can tell by looking at it that the condition is so bad, that it looks like they gave up on it. The classic example is an abandoned car. Right? Outside of an apartment complex in this space, a car has been sitting for 3 years. At that point, the owner of the lot might say, yeah, I'm gonna tow this car to a junkyard, or the police may come and say, we're gonna get this car out of there. The idea being that it looks like the owner gave up abandoned possession. And then you have my favorite, or the little kid's favorite. It's called treasure trove. Literally, coins or currency owned by someone. So if I have a treasure trove Bitcoin ruins this. There are gonna be no kids searching for Bitcoin. Maybe I'll convince one of my kids that they need to search for Bitcoin. Go find it. Treasure trove is a little bit different because the owner deliberately places it somewhere, but it's somewhere hidden. They've tried to conceal it and hide it from people. But if it's been long enough that the person who hid it is gone, dead, not coming back, at that point, it becomes kind of like abandoned property. So if you've got 100 silver dollars from the early 1800s and you buried them in your backyard, that would probably be treasure trove if someone came to find them. Because they'd look at the coins, they'd say, look, it's treasure trove in the sense that it's currency, it's buried, doesn't look like the owner's coming back, it's old, who knows when these were buried. At that point, that's treasure trove. Probably becomes yours unless the original owner can reclaim it. So I guess the best thing to do is if you find a pot of gold is immediately sell the pot of gold, right? Because now you're one step removed where you're not the person left literally holding the bag. You're the person who gets value out of it. Now, could somebody come on the back end? Could the true owner come in the back end and say, who'd you sell it to? And everybody try to unwind all of the deals. There's 10 transactions. You could theoretically try to unwind all those. No matter what property I come across that's not mine, I'm trying to find the owner. But if I'm digging in my backyard, or more likely, if the dog is digging in the backyard and they come across 1,000 coins, that's not anybody else's, that's mine, because unless the true owner comes around and says, hey, these are my coins, possession's 9/10 of the law and finders keepers, losers weepers.